Good evening. Several states have adopted self-defense laws. The Stand Your Ground law, which is one of these self-defense laws that over 46 states in the United States have adopted, has given citizens the right to protect themselves in any given situation in which they may use any act of self-defense in order to do so. Unfortunately, the Stand Your Ground law in the state of Florida has been used ineffectively in many cases, including the possible defense for hate-driven crimes, aiding in the increase of justifiable and unjustifiable homicides, and doubling the homicide rate for African Americans within the Florida area. I am proposing that the state of Florida enact a new policy, a Stand Your Ground law which requires citizens who defend themselves with concealed weapon, prohibition of murder, unless they are being assaulted or being placed in a life-threatening situation by their attacker. Along with the gun carrying license, I'm proposing that Florida should mandate each citizen to take a proper self-defense class. The new implementations should be adopted because the state of Florida has aided in the increase of justifiable and unjustifiable homicides in the United States. The implementation of this law will require citizens who carry concealed weapons to be knowledgeable of different methods for defending themselves before resorting to murder. According to Huffington Post Orlando, the state of Florida, since adopting the Stand Your Ground law just 6 years ago, has increased the number of homicides of African Americans by over 200%. Just in July, the nation covered one of the largest trials since Casey Anthony. It's the trial of Trayvon Martin. While walking home from the store, Trayvon Martin was perceived to be a threat because he was dressed in a black hoodie and carrying a package of Skittles and a sweet tea. He was approached by a neighborhood watchman named George Zimmerman, in which after a brawl, Zimmerman shot 17-year-old Martin in the stomach, killing him instantly. Upon police arrival, Zimmerman stated that he was gunned down out of self-defense, and since Martin was murdered, that was the only altercation report that could be used by judicials in order to determine that this case was indeed an act of self-defense. In July, Zimmerman was acquitted of murder and free of all charges because of the Stand Your Ground law. With the additional enactment, citizens in this state will be ensured that a walk home from the store at night won't be a result of a murder just because you're perceived as a threat. The Stand Your Ground law would allow each citizen to live and express both sides of the altercation once higher authorities become involved. The enactment of the new Stand Your Ground law must also clarify how citizens can protect themselves under state law without murdering their attacker. WCTV states Marissa Alexander, a citizen of Jacksonville, Florida, received a 20-year sentence in just May 2012 for firing shots in the air to flee off her abusive husband. Ironically, Miss Alexander was defending herself against her attacker, but she was tried as a criminal instead of using acts of self-defense in order to defend herself and received 20 years in prison as a result. Alexander was able to scare away her attacker, and which notified the police, but she was still tried as a criminal. The new Stand Your Ground law did not work in Stand Your Ground law did not work in the defense of Miss Alexander, who was convicted for 20 years for a first sentence. But because this new Stand Your Ground law is being proposed as an enactment, it will ensure that citizens like Miss Alexander, who try all means of possible self-defense before resulting in murdering her attacker, is served justice, and the man who's brutally beating her is the one who is incarcerated instead. In the case of Trayvon Martin, his murderer was Hispanic. In the case of Marissa Alexander, she was an African American woman. This also shows how the stigma associated with black citizens in the state of Florida and the United States holds a negative connotation for the society. But the media coverage of the Trayvon Martin case, despite the lack of justice given by the Stand Your Ground law, which is why I'm proposing that this law is changed. Some people may say that the use of the Stand Your Ground law requiring a class in order for citizens to fulfill this requirement may be a bit much. But I am proposing that citizens take this class, educate themselves on the awareness of homicides in their society, and result in change by creating a safer environment and a more peaceful environment for all citizens in the state of Florida. Thank you.